Hello, hello, hello. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Here we are, and I'm so glad that my guests and co-hosts are not wearing a bunch of red, white, and blue. I'm so sorry that we're just kind of like low key here with the 4th of July. But
I have a turquoise on. I needed my native
there you
blood
go.
around me.
There you go. Yep, I got
I'm
the blue
wearing
and the white.
turquoise, everything is like
And I don't know, I don't think the audience can see it, but the little live screen on my screen is bright red. Thank you, Cleo. Thank you. And my little hat has red, white, and blue. So PoliTarology is always kind of red, white, and blue. But anyway, welcome everybody. I'm so glad that you joined me since I was so I put out posts about this and then I forgot to make it public on StreamYard. So of course the StreamYard announcement didn't go out until probably uh
2
in
seconds
another
ago.
in another 10 minutes it'll probably go. So sorry about that. It's just been one of those months. Anyway, uh, I do have a few questions to get us started, but I'd love for my guests to let us know how they're doing and to say hello. So, Sherry, hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm
What's going
doing
on with you?
I'm listening to my washing machine going thump thump thump,
Great.
washing bedclothes for my son. I'm doing good. This is the third show today, so I'm starting to drag a little. So if I get kind of a faraway look, just snap, get my attention.
Okie doke, you
The
got it.
kittens are doing great. They'll be 2 weeks old on Monday, and they're
Aw,
growing like crazy. And I hope to get some updated videos and pictures up this weekend of them. And yeah, I mean, other than that, shows planned, things happening. Just enjoying my long weekend off. So,
and to
and
celebrate, you did 3 shows in one day.
yeah, and I've got
Uh-huh. Yeah.
two, two, three. I got two tomorrow.
Oh my God. Has anybody checked your medication lately? I don't know. Uh, I,
It's
I,
right here. I'm looking right at it.
I don't know about that. I don't know. Leo, how are you? I hope you haven't done 45 shows today.
No, I haven't. As a matter of fact, the last show I tried to do yesterday, the Golden Girls, and I'm
This
so
was me.
sorry to anybody that had to go through that with me, was I kept getting kicked off. And so last night I did a lot of work on my computer, and then today I go on to StreamYard and it says that they're having problem browser issues with Chrome and some other browser. So I am on Edge today instead of Chrome, and I don't normally use that browser. So I hope it works, and I hope we don't have any problems like that today. And as far as any other shows that I'm doing, I will do another show on Monday with Marina. It's kitchen table issues, also politics. But I'm really looking forward to today's PoliTarology.
Oh, good. Oh, that's good.
I forgot to mute when I started typing, y'all. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I was halfway between going to town and I went, oh shit, I forgot to hit the mute.
So, I have just a few little topics to get us started, and I'm hoping that we'll get some comments or questions in the chat. But you know us, with those few couple of questions, that usually takes us pretty far. And as for me, I'm week 2 into my new job, and of course, I have my a day off already, which is really nice. And we got out early yesterday, so that's also really, really nice. So it's a very busy job. It's really different from what I've been doing before. So I have a lot to learn. But for some reason, they hired me anyway. So, oh well, you know, I'll just do the best I can.
You're
Um,
trainable, Colleen. You're very trainable.
I hope so. I hope so. Um, I still don't think they know how old I am. So don't anybody tell them. So anyway, all
He's
right. So
21 plus.
the first thing that I saw in the news that really made me kind of chuckle, because I think I talked about this last week, was the headline said, Putin humiliates Trump. And here's the cat. Kitty, you cannot be in my line of vision. Um, Putin humiliates Trump. He wants all the price caps and all the restrictions and any sanctions that are remaining on Russia to be dropped. And there's 108 in the room, and I'm very happy because that's a magical number. This means it's going to be a really good show. We're only 5 minutes in. Thank you. So I could not see in the article what Putin actually did to humiliate Trump, except to ask for all those things. So do either one of you know?
I hadn't even heard about it.
No, I did. I saw that same headline, but I didn't have time to read it, so I don't know.
Okay, so this just goes along with what we were talking about last week, that this unholy triumvirate of Netanyahu, Putin, and Trump. I think I don't think Trump is being straight with either one of them, and that's actually what I want to read on. That Trump is just saying that he doesn't think Putin is serious about peace in Ukraine. Well, duh. I mean, he started the war. Why the hell would he want peace? He wants the country. So there's that. But also with Benny, good old Benny, we're on a first name basis because we're so close. But Benny wants to keep bombing Iran, or missiling, sending missiles to Iran. And Dumpy, I don't think Dumpy wants him to do that. And I don't think Dumpy was that thrilled with what he had to do with the bombs. And I don't quite know why he did that, except that it might have something to do with some money exchanges. And we can read on that later, too. Let me just make a note about that because I just thought about that. Okay, so let's look at the relationship between Putin and Trump. Is Trump really putting one over on Putin, or is Putin putting one over on Dumpy? So I guess the question, you have to do one way or the other with the card. So is Trump putting one over on Putin? Okay, what'd you get, Sherry?
Empty promises.
Yeah, but who to who? They both make empty promises.
They're both making empty promises. When I shuffled for it, I had them both in mind. I got good intentions, but I have a feeling that that's in relation to the other one, that it's like, yeah, not really. It just kind of feels like they're both trying to get one over on the other. That's the energy I'm picking up off of it. And then I got banking currencies. So this Pooty's not happy right now because he still can't access his money and do all the stuff he wants to do. So that's cutting into his bottom dollar, or ruble, or whatever the hell they use over there, is his money. And he's looking at Trump like, I've given you the solution to the problem. Now it's time for you to do it. And of course, Trump's got it in his head now that, yeah, he doesn't really have to do what Putin wants him to do anymore because he's king of the world and has absolute immunity.
Interesting. Cleo, what do you think?
Well, what I'm getting is that Putin is watching Trump and thinking, boy, is he in decline. And so, he's kind of he's been playing him for the fool all along, but Trump doesn't know that. And so, he's also getting kind of a kick out of what Trump is doing to the United States, how he's just kind of annihilating us one by one, little by little, taking away all our stuff that shows we're a democracy. And so he kind of enjoys that. But as far as, sometimes I've always felt like between Trump and Putin that they're kind of play acting, that they're putting up a front like, oh no, we don't like each other, wink, wink. And so, I think right now he's just like, if he wants to push Trump's buttons, he will. But, he wants to make sure if he does that, he manipulates it in a way that helps him. And so far, I don't think it's really been helping him. I think they're talking about, and I'm sorry if I missed kind of what you were talking about in the beginning of this, but about sanctions. Is that what he's concerned about?
He wants everything that's going against Russia to be removed. sanctions. He wants his money back. He wants, the trade stuff to go on. He wants to be able to do everything. Or he won't talk peace about Ukraine. That's what he's holding up.
Okay, well, yeah, I don't see, if Trump does anything like that, it'll be a lie. So they can't really trust each other. Trump's got so many other things going right now where he feels like he's just so far in control. And I hate to let him know that I'm sorry, but there's a lot of people that don't like your control and aren't going to go along with things with you. But as far as Russia goes, no, that won't happen right away. If it happens ever.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, what I get is that Trump really feels like he's holding all the cards. He loves
Right.
that expression, I'm holding all the cards. So Trump really feels like he is controlling Putin, which is a laugh. First of all, is that really Putin? Or is that another body double? I mean, don't we think that Putin has already shuffled off? The Russians just won't let it out in the public. Anyway, that's what I think. I don't think it's the Putin. It's a
Well, I
Putin.
think it's a stand-in. No,
stand-in.
I think Putin's still around, but I think there's a stand-in, or maybe a couple.
Yes, there's several. And some of them I think have already died, but whatever. Anyway, Trump, I think, has this idea that he's this master manipulator, and he is a manipulator, and he's very good at setting things up to work in his benefit, but he's not a real world stage like master manipulator. Like, he's not a statesman at all. He's not a diplomat, and he's not a great con man. He's so transparent. Everybody sees what he's doing. So I don't think he's very effective that way. I think at one point they did have a relationship where Trump really, really looked up to Putin, thought he was great, really admired him, wanted to be like him, but those days are done. And I think Sherry's right. I don't think he feels like he has to do anything that Putin says, even though he has been Krasnost since the late 80s. He's been an asset since the late 80s. I think for some reason he feels like he's paid his homage, he's paid his due, and doesn't owe anything. I think though that I think there's going to be a rude awakening on that score. My cat is brushing her tail across my cards and moving them.
It makes one wonder if he's going to suffer from that horrible disease, window outness.
Dumpy?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be something. That would really be something. I think he thinks that with the immunity, follow this one now. This is a guy who's totally cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, right? And I think that he believes that with his immunity that the Supreme Court gave him, that applies to the whole planet. Like, I think he really believes, like, yeah, I can get away scot-free. Nobody can touch me.
But 100% on that.
But the rest of the world realizes, no, honey, that isn't really the way things work. And I think most of the people that he's dealing with have just completely lost any fear, any respect that they ever had for him, because he's so clearly off his rocker and not really dealing with a full deck. Plus, that the Secret Service or whoever is controlling him in the White House as far as the nuclear codes go are controlling him as far as the nuclear codes go. So anything where he can do something like that, he's being controlled. Now, how he got this thing through with the whole bombing of Iran, very interesting. And I'd like to read on that too, but he did get that. He's got, though, he's still, see, this Uranus is coming up on his sun conjunct Uranus in his chart, and it is pushing him. That's this sense of urgency that we all see in him and his whole administration. That's Uranus pushing for chaos, pushing for change, pushing for let's just tear it all down. It's just going to get worse all the way through this year. And in the end, I do believe that he really, those AI things with him as the Pope. Yeah, that image is taking up space and paying rent in his brain. That is the way he's
Big
seeing
time.
himself. He is seeing himself as the leader of the world, not the leader of the free world, but the
Exactly.
leader of his world. And so the thing with Pootie is very interesting. And the twist of it, wondering which Putin that he's talking to, is also very interesting. So there's that. So
I just wanted to say thank you to Rose Blue for the
yes,
donation here. And where Hell has a special area just for ice, we'll probably be talking more about the migrants in a little bit. But
yeah,
thanks
you
again
will.
for what you're doing there.
Look how much my cat loves me hanging on to her. She can't wait to get down. Look at that. Okay, there she goes. She just loves me. She does love me, but that's why she wants to be up on my desk. But
She loves you because you feed her.
and brush her and give her
That's how
everything.
my cat is with me. She loves my son, but she loves me because I'm the one that goes and feeds her.
Yeah, that's true. So I would like to talk about not Netanyahu, but this thing about Iran. I'm guessing that the bombing of Iran, because now Dumpy has come out and said, yeah, basically I told them we were coming and gave them time to get all the people out and everything. And oh, P.S., they moved all of the uranium stuff. Well, so what was the point? You spend millions, maybe billions of dollars doing this military act that nobody wanted you to do, that you didn't have permission from Congress to do, and it was ineffective. And so what was the point? What was the point?
Well, he was trying to prove something that, you know, you got to remember that Trump lies about every single thing that comes out of his mouth. So what he was trying to do is make it look like, hey, we're a big world power. We've just eliminated a nuclear reactor or the plutonium or whatever it is that they were thinking they were getting. Well, no, that had all been moved. However, the facility itself, their underground stuff, took some damage, but not, you know, yeah, the proving thing is we don't want Iran to have nuclear arms. And that's what Trump was claiming. Since he did what he did, he's the hero of the world because he has eliminated that. Unfortunately, he has not eliminated that. But he did get a bunch of kudos from NATO and other places, and you know, they're looking around like, oh, look what Trump did, and NATO even said, you know, unless he was lying about that too, but I mean, it sounds like NATO actually said something to congratulate him for doing something that no other country had. I mean, no other country would do it. So, you know, I guess
part of that though was the meeting at the Hague and also at the G7 when he was running off to do it. But it was, I think, to just schmooze him, to keep him calm so that he wouldn't just turn around and leave, because they had things they wanted to talk to him about. But he left, I think, in less than 24 hours anyway.
Oh yeah, he left early.
But I think what I want to read on is I think there's a deal here that Russia also wants to be allowed into Iran, or to have military people in Iran, or some such kind of thing. And I don't know all the details, and I wish I did. I'm so sorry. I know other readers probably have the details way down, but this just hasn't been a great time for me to get into the news. But I think what the bottom line is that this allows Dumpy an excuse to let Russia get involved with the stuff going on in Iran, and for the United States to somehow funnel money through Iran to Russia. And I think that's what the whole thing was really about. I don't think it had anything to do with Bibi or helping him out. I think he was just a pawn in this whole thing. So that's what I want to say.
Wow. You just brought up something never even occurred to me, but I did vaguely remember something trying to be told to me about what you just said. I know this is confusing, but yeah, You
It's a
just opened up a door that I hadn't really been
It's a
considering.
super confusing those relationships are, this is why I don't really get into the whole Middle East thing, even the Gaza thing, because it's so multi-layered. It's so confusing. It's so highly charged and political. Oh, thank you, Candace.
And
Thank you.
they've been fighting for thousands of years with each other. It's like,
Yeah. And
what the hell, we think we're going to make a difference?
And pretty much ever since Israel was formed, Israel has been encroaching on Gaza and taking more and more and more land. Now, in the 80s, when I was at NYU and I knew people who were connected to it, to me, it just seemed like a bad real estate deal, like Israel was just being a bad neighbor. But it's much more complicated than that, much, much more. So I don't even want to go there. But so that's what I want to read on is Iran. What's going on with Iran? I think I got to shuffle again. So I'm going to mute if anybody else wants to go
Okay,
ahead.
well, Linda Bishop, you naughty girl.
Linda Bishop, God bless you. And, and may I say to you, Linda Bishop, Happy New Year. My mouse keeps going
That's
out.
funny. You're probably right, but it's still funny.
It is very funny. All right, here I'm going to shuffle.
Oh boy, yeah, this thing between Russia and the United States and Trump and them, you know what Colleen was just talking about, just that kind of blows my mind because yeah, that's probably what is happening. Just let's all pay attention to this big bomb going off while everybody else is exchanging money and paying things off, and oh my God, what a mess. What a mess. Or it might be just to get his mushroom hard. I don't know. That's funny, Linda. Thanks for that. I needed a laugh. Okay, I guess everybody's muted except me. And
yeah, I'm done. I'm done shuffling. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, this took, oh man, this took a lot to work out. And some of, I got to take my cat down. I'm sorry, Kitty, but I need the space. Okay. So, yeah, this has many layers to it also. So this is part of Trump's exit strategy. This is part of his exit strategy. He needs to have good neighbors and good allies in the Middle East so that when he's ready to go, he can skedaddle. Because he knows that stuff is coming up with the ICC. I mean, for all he knows, he could have a warrant on, or yeah, he could have something on his head from Interpol. I mean, he has done some dirty shit. He has done some bad shit. And the rest
What are
of
we talking about?
Dumpy.
Dumpy. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed the beginning of the conversation because my son came in and
that's okay.
And so he was filling me in on what was going on.
So the first two cards that I get, oh, thank you, Dina. You are too kind.
Oh, that's nice, Dina.
Happy 4th of July to you. So the first two cards that come up for me are the 8 of Pentacles crossed by the 8 of Cups, which is a leaving card, a traveling card. Now the 8 of Pentacles is, you know, big plans and we're researching everything and we're trying to get everything together and it's going to be very complicated, which is why they had to pick something. Well, they didn't pick it. It kind of appeared for them, but it was fortunate that this situation in Iran was very complicated. The things are way down deep in the ground. Nobody else had bombs and planes that could deliver those bombs, the bombs that would go deep enough to do any damage at all, blah, blah, blah. But they were talking about this stuff in the news for what? Not quite 2 weeks. Like not even 2 weeks, right? And then at one point in those 2 weeks, Trump said, in 2 weeks, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. And then 2 days later, he drops them because he goes to the up to Canada and he doesn't like what he hears. But the situation allows him cover to talk to all those people in the Middle East and to kind of set things up for his, you know, personal open door Airbnb in any Middle Eastern country that he wants, basically. And at the bottom of this is the Queen of Pentacles. So I think in this instance, this is the dumpster, because he's talking about money. He's talking about his money, but it's very covert. And he's not taking any actions with it right now. He's just setting things up. Then he has this big kind of, I don't know if he really discovered a relationship with the Ayatollah Khomeini, but some kind of a relationship has been forged there, because he calls the guy and tells him, this is when we're going to do the drop. So if you got to get people out of there, you better do it. You know, I mean, he didn't say, so you better do it. They just said, oh, okay. And then they went and they did it. They moved the stuff, people, they were safe. And so this makes Dumpy very happy. He does not really care about the publicity. He doesn't care what people are saying about it. He doesn't care that they're saying it was a failure. He's just going to continue to say that it wasn't. Why? Because he thinks he's the king of the world. He thinks he's the leader of the world and nobody can touch him. Now, he's not going to be very happy with what comes up after this. And things are going to turn around on him. This is not going to go well for him. But I do think that this is opening the door for Iran to, because see, here's the other thing too. I think that Russia very, very much wants to get their money. That's what they're asking for. And Dumpy very, very much wants to give it to him, but he's too stupid. You know, he can't figure out how to facilitate that plan, how to set that plan up. And there's only so many people he can talk to about this. So he's not like he's going to Stephen Miller and saying, hey, Steve, could you do a little money laundering for Pootie?
And most of them are going to be busy stuffing half of it in their pockets.
Well, maybe. Yeah, that's true. But so the point here is that while that is the overriding crime that is going to be taking place, it's basically money laundering so that Russia can get their hands on money. Trump doesn't even care about that. All he cares about is his exit strategy. All he cares about is covering his ass if it looks like he's going to be nabbed, because he knows damn well he's not going to be in the White House for much longer. He knows this. He can feel it.
Yeah.
So that's what I have. That's what I say. You guys tell me. What do you think?
Well, I drew a couple of cards. First one was the Four of Cups. So we're dealing with basically a sense of apathy. He doesn't really give a crap what Putin wants or what's going to happen with Iran. It doesn't matter to him because it's not him. And then I drew the Five of Swords reversed. And so that we're looking at past resentments. We're looking at a desire to reconcile, but with that apathy there, not a real reconciliation. He's looking at just to make it look like a reconciliation. And then the last thing I got was the Page of Cups reversed, which is immaturity, insecurity, inability to actually make any real effort to do what's right. He at one time he probably could talk a good game. He can't even do that anymore because his brain's so fried from whatever that he's lucky to string 3 sentences together and have them make sense. I mean, it's shades of watching my mother at the end of her dementia all over again. You know, it truly is pathetic to see. But yeah, I think it's just all a big shell game with him, except he no longer has enough brain matter left to figure out how to shuffle the shells.
So do you think that this Iran thing is
I think it's all, I think they might try to use it as a false flag to gin up more whatever here with his people, you know, get all them young boys running for the army sign up table and let me join and go kick some butt. And of course, if we weren't facing a war, most of them wouldn't be accepted into the military because they wouldn't qualify. But if we're in a war, then they're going to swing those doors wide open and take as many as they can because they need as many dum-dums as they can get in there and put a gun in their hand and send them out to the front line and let them get shot and save the smart ones to stay back behind.
Oh my God.
I hate to say that, but that's,
You know, I think probably what he's doing is he is setting up everything. If you see all the stuff, just forget about him in Russia, but everything he's doing in this country and across the world, he is setting us up for a world war, and that's what I thought from the beginning. He wants a war. He really, really wants a world war. Not only, and then he's being blatant about it. He's saying we don't want to. We want to cut Medicaid. We want to cut all these different programs, you know, and he wants to beef up the military, and he wants to beef up the border patrol, and he wants to beef up, you know, getting all these immigrants out of here. He is absolutely cuckoo, bizarre, and, you know, if somebody doesn't stop him really, really soon, hopefully this month and next month, I mean, he is way, way out of control, and he will create a world war. And that's exactly what he wants.
well, not only that, if he creates that war, Cleo, he can then shut down any voting.
Oh yeah, he does. He wants this authoritarian kingdom that has created or he thinks he's created for himself. I don't see it totally happening, but right now, this month is just so precarious about what is going on. But the stuff with Russia is just, he doesn't have to do, in his mind, he doesn't have to do anything right now. But he admires Putin. He admires that Putin can control his country the way he does. And he's taken notes on how Putin does it. And he's trying to do the exact same thing here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I just want to say thank you, Jazzy Sophie. That's very nice of you, and Happy New Year to you too. There's a few starred questions in here.
New Year?
Happy New Year, happy 4th of July, happy whatever.
Okay. You threw me for a minute. I was
thank you for catching that. I'm in the zone. I'm not here. Okay.
No, that's okay.
Let's see. So let's see. There was one here. Yeah, this one. Trump's excuse for not sending the agreed upon arms to Ukraine is that USA is short of arms, and Trump said America's comes first. These things have already been sent to Poland. They're already there, and Poland is already contemplating just letting him go. Okay, so that's going to look bad.
Or they'll just simply go, arms? Did we get that shipment? That shipment never arrived.
Yeah.
Have you talked to your buddy
that
over in our country? Maybe he bypassed that shipment.
So now I wanted to look at this one too. What is Ruta's deal supporting the U.S. and not sending Ukraine weapons? Here's the deal, people. We are in stage 1 of the exodus for Dumpy, the involuntary exodus for Dumpy. And the whole world, I think, is kind of in on it, just not Dumpy.
Except us.
Yeah, the Europeans are going to be like, yeah, fine, just tell him that, he's got the biggest mushroom on earth. I mean, who cares? Let's just go along with whatever he's saying, because there is no reasoning with him. And what good would it do for them to criticize him anyway? All he's going to do is turn around and get distracted by doing some sort of stupid tariff thing or something. I don't think there's that many European countries that are worried about sending things, trading with the US, but that's what he would do. Or he would go and talk, shit about them to their face at a NATO meeting. So they don't need to, they don't need him for anything really at this point, except for not to blow up the world. So they're just going to be nice to him and say things that are good, because they know that the end is coming. They don't know how soon, but that's what they know.
It's just like at the last meeting, and they were making fun of his followers, calling him daddy. And they did it in such a way that he walked off with his chest puffed big, saying, they think it's so cool. My people call me daddy. And it with no clue that they were ridiculing him and making fun of him. And the majority of Americans were going, oh, my sweet Lord. You know, and then he walked off the stage and they proceeded to start selling merch, selling daddy with his face on it.
Oh God.
I'm
By the
serious.
way, thank you, artist Liz.
Thank you,
Thanks,
artist
Liz.
Liz. What holiday would you like me to wish you happy for? I could do Christmas, Easter. How about
Let's
Labor
go with
Day? That's
Halloween.
coming up. Halloween. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. There we go.
Okay. And Gina has a question. I have an astrological question. Big Bill, pastor in the pre-shadow of Mercury retrograde. Yeah, well, not only because of the shadow, but because when Mercury goes retrograde, July 18th, that's when all this stuff is going to have to be revisited. And you notice there was already a news article that Dumpy is tap dancing as fast as he can, trying to convince everybody that it's really a good bill. It's really a good bill. It's going to help everybody. It's really good. It's terrible, and it's really not going to help anybody. So yes, it will need to be revisited, revised, trashed, thrown out, whatever.
Those Republican legislators
and let's not
who have
forget,
been saying it doesn't do this, it doesn't do that, when their people start getting hurt.
Yeah. Well, I guess he's signing it today, or he signed it today. So
he signed it already.
Okay, he signed it. That's great. But let's not forget his nickname, Taco. He always
That's right.
Trump always chickens out.
Yeah.
And there's a chance that, I don't know, we should read on that. Let's read on that. Is he going to?
I saw the clip that he signed it because Mike Johnson presented him with the gavel that he used to call order that it was passed. Yeah, thank you.
Oh God.
And I got to live with that because he's from my state.
Colleen, what are you asking about?
What's the question again?
Is there any chance that will Trump pull back or revise any parts of that bill to save face, to save us, to something the millionaires don't like or billionaires don't like? Will he pull back any parts of that bill because it's so bad?
I get an immediate no from my guides, but they said that he'll play with it like he does with everything. Like he does with, when he says China 145% tariff, but then he backs off. So he loves it that his bill, that's the whole reason he did this kind of a bill, so that he could play with it and then look like, oh, well, okay, that came up. You know what? I'm going to take that back. Oh, wait, no, tomorrow I guess I'm not going to do that. He just wants to play with it. Now he can totally manipulate it, and he'll have people scared to death because, we are scared, taking away Medicaid, taking away food stamps. I mean, it's just, but yeah, no, he'll play with it, but will he actually reverse it? No, no, he's pleased with what he got.
Just a little FYI that I learned day before yesterday, from some constitutional law writing expert that was on, I don't even remember what damn show now, but they were talking about, if you get down and start reading, especially when it deals with the birthright citizenship stuff that's been put in there, that technically the way it's been written, the only people that are legally American citizens today are the direct descendants of slaves, African Americans. Because of the way it was written, it means everybody else, born or not in this country, would be considered illegal immigrants. And the only people that were considered as, now it's in the Constitution that you and your offspring are American citizens, are the slaves that were granted freedom during Civil War. And they're like, wait till
white people are not American citizens at all that are born here.
No, not nobody.
Cool.
Not nobody but the black people. Now, You let that information get out and see some heads explode when all these good old boys find out that actually they're the trash, not across the railroad tracks on the other side of town.
Well,
I'm just saying, when I heard this, I was like, what?
So my question then is, who's going to explain that to Mikey Johnson when they're carting him off to Alligator Alcatraz?
Yeah. I hope it's a great big Ving Rain looking.
Well, as long as they take Mikey's roommate from Washington, D.C., I think he'll be okay in there.
Yeah.
Well, and
just
I know
make sure you load them up with lots of eyeliner.
A little bit off the subject, but you know, the veterans are really getting quite irritated because now they're deporting veterans who are from another country initially, but went out and fought for us and were probably injured, and they're deporting their whole families. They're taking their kids away from them. I mean, it's just bizarre. We're talking about 100,000 veterans that may be, and this one that they had the article
who were given citizenship for fighting for this country.
That, and I mean, they've been here for years, and yes, they risked their lives for our country, and now he's deporting them because who knows why? Who knows why? I mean, it is so, oh God, it's just so un-American, so wrong. So
it's just like all the Afghanis getting left behind when we pulled out of Iraq and stuff, that we promised that we would bring them back, that they and their families would be safe for helping us when we got sent to the wrong damn country to bomb after 9/11.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what happened? We left them high and dry.
Yeah.
And people wonder why they're still pissed at us. Think about it. You know?
Okay.
And most are naturalized citizens, right, Terry?
Thanks
for that. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. So I threw some cards on the BBB, and yeah, I agree with you, Cleo. He's not gonna change everything. He's pleased as punch with what he did. He's playing cat and mouse with us. You know, we're just like a little half dead mouse that he's toying with, you know, and he just thinks that's great. However, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, because as people start to understand what is in this bill, the things are going to change. I got the Wheel of Fortune as the final outcome, that things are going to change. The world, the people, the electorate, his base, is going to turn on him.
Oh yeah.
So if they had,
most of his base are locked and loaded and ready for bear.
So with all we got to be careful though, because with all of these, you know, rallies that are planned, if they join those rallies and come bearing arms, that's no bueno. That's not
right.
Good.
Right.
Maybe all you MAGAs that get pissed off, could you just have your own rallies away from the peaceful people? But because we don't want any damage, but we support your right to complain.
Well, isn't there protests today? Isn't there quite a few protests?
Oh, there's several big. We even had a protest in my city.
Yep.
Wow.
In South Louisiana. I saw that earlier on the news. I went, we did what?
And look at you, Sherry. Even though
I had no clue.
Even though your head exploded, you imagined to get it all back together and your hair done. Good for you. And do 3,000 shows.
And do 3 shows. Just 3. Yeah, 3,000. What the hell? I pulled temperance. I think this is more for those of us who are reporting on all of this and reading on all of this and talking about all of this for ourselves. A little temperance.
Yeah.
A little temperance for ourselves, please, because we're going to go nuts before this is all over with. I got a science breakthrough. That I'm going to put that aside for now because I think it's something, but it's not exactly geared to this. I got declassifying documents. So yeah, they're going to declassify some documents to gin up the war. Then I got for money and power. Yeah, that's what it's all about. And of course, he's going to go to his trusted advisors who are going to tell him, well, of course, Mr. President, you must drop the bomb on them, or you must do this, or do that, or do the other to prove what a big, strong, virile man you are. And in the corn, a lot of people in the last 2 days have been talking, or last week really, been talking about the retaliation from Iran to us.
Yeah.
And I hadn't said anything before because I've only gotten that answer a couple of times in private readings. But this is the third time it's come out in a public reading. They may not be blowing anything up or knocking anything down, but science breakthroughs involve a lot of, if you get my drift, and they could certainly attack in that way and not knock one building down or mess up a street. Now, I don't like that vision at all that I've had about this, but I had to say it. It just, so I'm telling us temperance, I keep beating it into my head. Let's have a little temperance, please.
Yeah, it's really important to keep your cool. You know, somebody wrote in the chat that Iran put out another fatwa on Trump, but they've had one on him for over 2 years.
Yeah.
So I kind of think that Iran is in on it.
You know, I hope they are, just for the sake that they're not going to really do anything.
Well, no, they're still going to do
bad, that they're going to do something, but it'll be a much smaller scale. It'll still be devastating. People will still be unalived, I'm sure.
I get that it'll be individuals. It's not going to be just as I say
small groups.
There's going to be groups of people who are injured or harmed.
Small groups, but not tens of thousands of people.
Of course, they're in on it because
How
they're
do you mean in on it with who?
With Trump and Putin, because Iran is tightly connected to Russia. Yeah, they have supplied them with lots of military stuff.
And if Orange Boy up in the house, in the White House there, keeps blowing off Putin like he doesn't matter, who's to say Putin doesn't make that phone call to whoever the hell he calls in Iran and says, okay, it's go time.
Well, fortunately, Iran is too small of a military power to really hurt us significantly, but as a terroristic power,
exactly,
they can do quite a bit of harm on a small scale. And yeah, I agree, Kristen.
I do too.
I don't think they're coordinating it. I don't. I still think it's basically Russia pulling the strings. I think Russia's
without a doubt. I just think that Dumpy's gonna tick him off just one time too many, of just kind of blowing him off like, you know, I'm the king now, not you. That Pooty's gonna just simply pick up the phone and make a few phone calls and say, okay, it's go time, teach him a lesson. And we're gonna suffer for it. We're already suffering for it, but
I just have that.
And that's my fear. And I'm hoping I am so totally wrong. Y'all have no idea how much I hope I'm wrong.
I just have that same sinking feeling that I had when we were coming up on the inauguration. And I was just hoping that this was not going to happen. And it happened, you know, and these things that he's doing, I just keep hoping that they're not going to happen, and they happen. And it's just like,
how I feel. Yeah.
You know, this is, but again, this is the beginning of the big takedown. You know, he's got to show his people and the world just how terrible he is. He's got to take these actions so that it's unequivocal that this is a madman who will destroy the world, not just the United States, but the world, if he isn't stopped. And that's again why the world is going to help us stop him. The ICC, Interpol, NATO, the European
Anybody
Council.
and everybody.
You know, Colleen, what you're saying totally coincides with what my guides have been talking to me about, because I'm like, oh God, and this most recent so-called beautiful bill that was passed, they said it's got to go this way.
Yes, it's
got to go this way, so you can, so everybody sees this guy is not making any sense. I mean, to take away Medicaid, to take away food, to let children starve, I mean, just every single thing he's doing, it's like he can't get any more outrageous, and then he does, and it just keeps happening. But they're telling me, hey, don't totally get absorbed into it, and because it makes me feel bad. And they're like, don't do that, because it's gonna come out, but there are people watching every move he's making, seeing everything that it's the way that they're going to be collectively getting all their evidence together so that they can go up to him and say, you're out. And so are all the people that supported this lie. It's because, and you see the journalists, they're talking more and more about every
Legacy News is starting to talk about it.
All the lies, the continual lies, and then they show him lying, and they're saying, see, these are more lies. And so that's exactly what's supposed to be happening right now, as much as it's just God, it's crazy making.
It's crazy making, and you do have to take the 10,000 feet perspective. You just have to, and realize that this is playing out the way it's supposed to play out. And just he's King Lear. He's King Lear coming to the end of his.
I just want to say that when what Kristen is saying about it, it's taken long enough to mention it. You got to remember that all the psychics on here, we have been talking about this stuff for a long time. So for us, it's not new news. It's just
we've been like beating our heads against the wall with it, saying somebody listen.
Finally, these other people are saying, hey, it's a big lie. And we're like, where the hell have you been? We've been talking about this for over a year.
Yes, but this is good news, not just because they're putting out some truths, but because this means that the people who own those media outlets are also starting to see the light, are also starting to feel like, uh-oh, this is going to ruin me. CNN is, continues to let people go, but and MSNBC and NBC let people go. ABC let people go. I don't know about.
And they're all going independent, and they're all speaking their minds.
But the point is not that they're going independent. The point is that those news outlets, just at the point where they started letting people go, they were still hanging on to this idea that we have to kiss his ass. We have to kiss Dumpy's ass, otherwise he'll ruin us, or we won't get Project 2025 off the ground. One of those two attitudes is what they're holding on to. Now they've let go of that. This is a watershed. This is a big piece of this, that they are now allowing their people to say what's really going on. At least a little bit of it is very, very heartening, very hopeful. I mean, it's not going to stop children from starving and people from dying because they don't get their medical care, but it is hopeful that we are seeing the end of this. And this is why I think that even the heads in the European Union, they're not going to tell him the truth, so they're kind of taking the mirror image of what the US media it was doing. The US media was just saying lies, 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 lies. Now they're starting to say the truth, right? Now, Europe before was saying the truth. Now they're starting to just say, forget it. Just tell him what he wants to hear, because this mother effer would blow up the world if we don't tell him that. You know what I mean? So it's very interesting to see how these dynamics are playing out and see how all the little mahjong tiles are moving around on the game board, you know? It's really interesting, but I have to take that perspective of looking at it as almost a game, because if I let myself become emotional about it, then I can't function. I can't continue to give out light and love. I can't continue to send healing energy. I can't continue to believe that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and when we end up, we're going to have
always win.
A country. Yeah, the right will win. Yes, Rose Blue, the dam has broken. It has broken. It has broken. But don't expect it. I don't know if a dam is a good metaphor, because then you would expect everything to just come flooding out, and that's not going to happen. It's still going to be
not broken. It's got some very critical cracks.
Yes,
yeah,
yes, Jerry. Yes,
releasing that pressure and. But the thing of it is that the more that gets released, the more regular citizens are stepping back and going, wait a minute. What do you mean you can prove they manipulated our votes? What do you mean you can replicate that they manipulated our votes? What do you mean that you can prove that he has done ABC 1, 2, 3, whatever it is? And the more they step back and start looking and paying attention, the weaker he becomes and the more desperate he becomes. And the more desperate he becomes, the more danger he is. The more dangerous he is to globally everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Because hopefully they've not given him the actual codes to the nuclear football, you know, or they've just given him a dummy football and he thinks it's the real thing. I don't know what, but and that's frightening to think about, because that's, I mean, in one vision, technically that's circumventing the power of the president. That's not supposed to be overstepped. But in the other, in rightful thinking, it's like sometimes you got to break the rules in order to keep the rules.
Yeah.
I don't know any other way to put it. I
think that's you gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
You got to. All right.
By the way, Clarence, if you're out there, I you know, you've said a couple different things. You're cracking me up. You got a great sense of humor.
Clarence always cracks me up. He makes me laugh at the worst of times.
Yeah. So, what to read on here? I watched a couple of different programs today. By the way, if anybody wants to have a good laugh about all of this stuff and get some excellent information about it, David Feldman, who is a huge YouTube guy, his show that I watched today. I was walking this morning, and 4 different times I just had to stop. I was laughing so hard listening to him that I just had to stop. I was just like, I can't. He's hilarious. It really.
He's funny.
Anyway, watch him. He has 444, my magic number. Oh my God. Okay, so I do just want to point out to people that the Election Truth Alliance just has this excellent information and very compelling information about the election interference. That is, I don't see
They
how
replicated how it was done.
Yeah, well, pretty much. I mean, what I was watching today was just cataloging all of the things that pointed to the actual interference rather than the method of how they did it. But you know, things like over 200 bomb threats on election day, mainly in the swing states, that all seven swing states won by one party, and you know, all 88 counties that flipped won by one party for the first time since like 1838. So almost 200 years ago that ever happened. That
And you have people in counties across the country now that are coming forward saying, "What do you mean we had no votes for Harris? I voted for her. Why was my vote not counted? You know,
yeah,
or
exactly.
why was I notified that my vote was counted, but you've got me down as saying no to her? How is that possible?" And that's what really is gonna start, I think, breaking the tide open of when people start realizing, you say you counted my vote, but I don't see my vote in this tally.
Yeah, and that kind of information will be very damning and very helpful in just getting, I think, media, legacy media, to actually open up and present this data, those details about human beings across the country whose vote literally was not counted. That's very, very damning.
Or was manipulated.
But what's even more damning and easier for them to show and prove is that the trends are just upside down in that election. That you can look at in the 2016 election where Hillary supposedly lost, at least there it looks pretty much like a normal voting tally. And they show on the graphs that there's, this much for Hillary and then a whole lot for Dumpy. Clearly that was cheated too, but it still looks kind of like the way previous voting patterns maybe have gone, although it's still extremely abnormal, right? But for the 2024 election, where you have the bars going up for Trump, and on the Hillary one in 2016, the bars went up a little ways for Hillary. On the 2024 election, the bars go up for Trump, the bars go down for Kamala. It's like,
Yeah.
wait, doesn't that mean we got negative votes? And pretty much that's what it shows. So they went way overboard with that, and that's why they're going to be busted.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's much more sophisticated in
Oh,
2024.
yes.
So,
See, they tried to do it in 2020, but they weren't successful because
they didn't go
we
far
were
enough.
still in the middle of the big C, and
they didn't
people
have
were voting by
Musk with
mail.
all his they didn't have Musk with
And they
all his
didn't, yeah.
satellites.
Exactly.
And all those, and a bunch of those satellites have been destroyed. So they're not going to be able to find the actual votes, but it's not going to matter because when push comes to shove, which, by the way, let me just say, I know you guys are still wondering about Kamala Harris and is she going to be president? My guides tell me yes, she is. And they also tell me that for one thing, she doesn't see it right now. She does not see that can happen. A lot of people out there that are looking into this don't really see that happening, but that is what's going to happen. And it will be through something called, well, we've already heard Sterling talking about the decertification. And then, hold on here a minute. I got to find this word.
Yes, find that word. I can't remember what you told me. Okay.
It's that she will be this is what my guides told me about a week ago, that Kamala would be elected by acclamation. And I'm like, what in the world is acclamation? And basically what it is she'll be elected uncontested and it'll be from the 2024 election, uncontested, because they're not going to be able to find every single vote, but they do find the stuff that shows it has been manipulated with. And so if they, as Musk destroyed those satellites, he's destroyed the basic evidence that we want, but they're going to be able to figure out with their logarithms and their little, what's that thing that starts with a T, Sherry? Tabulation.
Tabulations, yeah, the tabulation machines.
Yeah. And so, yeah, no, it will happen. And
once it starts coming out, more and more people, regular, everyday people who know who they voted for, are going to start comparing notes and building groups of of folks within these different counties and areas and saying, wait a minute, you've got evidence here that says there were no votes for this and this and this. And I've got 500 people standing here saying, no, that's what I voted for.
I think
Yeah.
people are already doing that informally. I think that some of the people doing the investigation are also starting to do it formally. But I think that's already starting. And isn't it interesting that legacy media is not picking it up? I can't believe that. They're not picking it up. What's wrong with them? Hi, Marina. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Marina.
Hey, Marina.
Oh, now the cat's on my mouse. No, honey, you can't. It's not a real mouse. Okay. Please, let me have my. Can I please have my mouse? I'm sticking my hand right under you. Yep. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. My cat, I think, has a sense of humor.
We have pets. We understand.
So what was that Marina said? What'd she say?
I missed it.
Nancy Schaefer. Oh, no, that's something. Okay. That was something. It was not. I thought that was something about a politician. So, oh man, my cat thing just kind of blew everything out of my brain. Oh, tabulations. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's, like I have always said, I think that will be one big part of the whole takedown thing. But see, that's such a nonviolent, almost passive way of attacking him, right? I think that there has to be something military that intervenes and says, excuse me, sir, you're getting ready to blow up the world. We have somebody that needs to talk to you over here in the other room. You know, that's what they'll do. They'll
Jennifer,
it's like I've shared. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Jennifer, you're saying that what I'm saying, other people are saying. I haven't heard specifically them saying the same thing I'm saying, but I'm going totally by my guides, and they have been very consistent throughout this whole thing. And I have no reason to. Well, I mean, I do argue with them. We have discussions about this, and they're just like, chill, it's going to be okay. And I'm like, I said, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear exactly what's going to happen. And they're trying to tell me what's going to happen, but they're also saying that the other people, like Kamala is not sitting around thinking, boy, I wonder if someday I'm just magically going to be president after all this. She doesn't think in those terms, but the way things are going to come out, and plus when we all see, and we will, the illegalities, the crimes that Trump has committed.
She's busy lining up all of her people to go to work minute one. She's busy lining it all up in that prosecuting brain of hers. Every step from the minute she is sworn in, it's going to be drop and go. It's going to be nonstop. And I mean, and something that, I mean, just started happening this past year. I've started getting visions again, or for the first time, not again, but that was my mother's gift, not mine. And a vision I was given was seeing the White House, the Oval Office, the White House, and the administrators' offices that all are part of him at Christmas time, and everything's decorated up for Christmas, and they're all empty. There is no one there. And so I've been like, okay, well, if no one's there, then who's there? And I don't get an answer for that. I just keep being given the same message. And today I shared that on a live earlier, and the Angela, the person who was my guest, she was like, how was it decorated? And I said, it was decorated for Christmas. She said, yeah, but how is it decorated for Christmas? What did it look like? I said, well, it looked like it would normally look when you decorate for Christmas. She says, that tells you right there that he's gone, because if he was still there, you would have the Nightmare from Elm Street or whatever it is, Christmas decorations, the red trees and the whatever other nonsense that woman put in there. But
when
it
yeah, black
just,
Christmas
every
tree.
time that vision comes back, it's come back to me several times, and every time it comes back, it's like with a stronger punch each time. And so
Wow.
I'm like, okay, so they're not there at Christmas. So
I love that.
I could be
I'm
totally
feeling it
wrong,
too.
and
Feeling it
I'm
too.
praying I'm totally right. But you know,
And it won't, it won't be in 2025, but in 2026, I believe Kamala will be in the White House. But in the meantime, and this has been talked about. I know that's not just my idea, but there's going to be a group of people, probably former presidents and stuff. And Colleen is the one that at least brought this up to me a long time ago, about there's going to be a group that kind of runs the country for a little bit, because it's going to be, we've got to have somebody heading the White House, but it will be a group. And from that group is when it will finally go, hey, you know what? Kamala got it. Kamala should be in there. So let's just do it. And so they will. But it won't, it's going to start off with taking him out, taking Trump out, and putting in a group. It won't be the Republicans, because when Trump goes, so does a vast majority of Republicans. They're all going to be in the hot seat,
running for the hills.
Yeah, running for the hills. Actually, yes. Okay.
Not just from those of us who are mad as hell and coming after them, but they're gonna be running from their own people.
But Sherry, I love your vision, because that makes total sense to me about how
And
is it decorated. How is the White House decorated?
A few weeks ago, I came across somebody new on YouTube, and she was doing a channeling session, and I just thought, okay, I'll stop and watch for a minute. And she was channeling that the last day Biden was in office, that he signed a special declaration that filled up all of these positions in a temporary mode until the ones who actually won get in, is what she was channeling. Now,
I like
I've
that
never
idea.
seen her before. I liked what she was saying, but it was like, I've only caught like one or two of her videos. I can't even think of her name right now. But it was like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting, So it's like they knew before they walked out the door what she was getting, was that they knew that this was all wrong, and that they had to put what do you call it, makeshift group to run everything. And I think that she was saying what you just said, Cleo, that several past presidents would be together on it, like part of the group of deciding what to do, how to do, when to do.
Well, and both Obama and Bush just recently came out, and they don't like what Trump's doing with the U.S. aid. And they're both, that's so unusual to see two former presidents, Republican and Democrat,
and it always struck me that as much as W was no longer liked after he left office, it didn't take long before you could see this beautiful budding friendship between him and Michelle Obama. And she always struck me as someone that doesn't suffer fools lightly. And it was like, she had to have seen something in him, in my way of thinking, to have allowed herself to become not just a superficial, we're in public right now smile, but an actual friend to this man, And you can tell by the way they talk to each other, the body language when they're with each other. And that always struck me as like, okay, well, maybe he wasn't the one that was quite so bad. It was those around him making the decisions. He was just a figurehead. And
Right.
so,
An innocent potato. I love it that you say that, because I think that's what's going to happen. A lot of people think
yeah,
that, and I just, the more people we get saying it, I'm just hoping that it could just happen soon.
Well, yeah, you have to start envisioning it.
Yeah.
You have to start visualizing, what do you want instead? It's not enough just to think, let's get him out, let's kill him, let's rah, 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 rah. That's very, very negative. What we want to
yeah,
do is visualize the positive. Visualize, what do you want? Do you want to see Obama and Bush heading up a coalition government for a couple of months to try to clean this crap up?
oh,
Yes,
hell yeah.
please. Thank you. And an extra scoop of
And
cherries.
let's put it on steroids.
Yeah, that's what I want. Do you want to see Stephen Miller go to jail? Yes, please. But I also want to see somebody helping those two ex-presidents look at all the stuff that he did and that all of the administration did. Keep a big old spreadsheet and start just ticking through it and changing all of that stuff back as quickly as possible. Do I want to see the people from Congress and the Senate who were backers of Trump, who did illegal stuff and who did stuff that was just crappy to the American people? Do I want to see them punished? Yes, I do.
Yes, please.
And do I want to see all the 50 state governors assign or appoint new people to replace them temporarily? Yes, I do. Think about all the things that you want to see happen, because the more you put your energy to that, the easier it will be for that group, that
Yeah,
coalition group, to make it happen, because it'll be in the zeitgeist, it'll be in the collective, and it will happen. But if you don't think
yeah,
about
because
it, if
we've
you
got
don't put it out there, it
Obama, W,
won't
and
happen.
Clinton that are still alive and kicking, and that's three fairly powerful presidents that we've had.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, they could do some damage as far as cleaning up the mess, joined together. So that would be really awesome.
But I question whether, after Dumpy has been in that White House twice now and done all of look what he did to the Oval Office. God knows what he did to all the other rest of it. God knows what he did to the residents. Will they still be able to use the White House?
Maybe
Maybe
that's
not.
why I saw it empty.
Yeah, no, they will. They will.
No, I don't think they will. I think
Who uses the White House? Who are
the
you talking
president and his administration,
the new president or the current idiot?
the new president.
Yes, they'll use. Yeah, of course they will.
I wouldn't want to.
I think it would take an immense amount of cleansing, not just
Oh, well,
bleach
they got
and,
people
and
that'll clean it
scrub
up.
and
But think about it.
and
They've had Russians in there. They've had all sorts of other foreign leaders
they
in
would
there
have
who
to
were
get
not our allies, who probably had plenty of time to place listening devices and all sorts
yeah,
of.
they'll have to
Remember-
strip the walls down to
Oh yeah,
the
and
barrels
yeah, in
of Mr. Clean. Okay,
Yeah,
barrels of Mr. Clean.
no. But in Hegseth's office alone, they had, I don't know if it was like directly above his office on the roof or if it was actually in his office, they had a Starlink link. So, all that shit has to be found and
yeah.
gotten rid of and disabled. They have to find every little
They have to
wire and
clean
wireless
it,
router that
not just in
connects it.
physical cleaning. They have to clean it electronically, digitally, and then they got to bring in
think-
as many shaman and medicine men and
think- no,
white witches as
no.
they can to just
No,
cleanse the place spiritually.
There isn't enough phage in the world to do that. What they need to do is just lock it up, take out the phones, call it a museum, and build something else. If the new president has to operate out of the Pentagon for 6 months or a year while they build something new, so be it. It would be safer.
You do
got
have
a
a
point.
point that maybe the White House would be kind of
Toxic?
for renovation or for remodeling or something. Yeah, it might take a while to get it all cleaned up that way. But we're
They
still
would
going to have
literally
people
have
in
to
the White
strip it
House.
down to bare bones with nothing left and
And by the way,
rebuild it.
Acadian Proud, thank you so much.
Thank you, Acadian Proud.
For your money.
It's my Cajun cousin there.
And thank you for your light and your love.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for that. We all need that. We all need that.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I think I'm much more of the mind that we need just a reset. There's so much work to do. There's going to be we basically have to rewrite the Constitution, and we have the
Rebuild
brain
from the
power.
ground up.
Thank you, Gina. And we have the brain power and the constitutional scholar knowledge to do it. Get Michael Ludig before he gets too old. I mean, that guy is a brilliant mind. I may not agree with his politics, but his basic understanding of the rule of law and the Constitution is amazing. That guy is just a genius, and he has so much experience and institutional knowledge about the government. I mean, just Jamie Raskin. I mean, just amazing knowledge these guys have.
Well, there are so many like that, who have either been teachers or have been just authors, or who at one time maybe worked there and firsthand experience. And then they've got all of that knowledge with them to be able to get together and say, okay, this is what worked. This is what didn't. This is what we want to go forward. This is what we don't. Now, how do we get that all blended together so that we get a fresh start, a real fresh start?
You also need, in addition to those scholars and those very, very old school, shall we say, white shoe legal scholars, you also need the younger generation. You also need David Hogg and the Max Frost and the AOC and all Jasmine Crockett and all those other ones. Thank you, Rose Blue. And you need all of that younger energy. And then you need the middle generations, the 40s and 50s and 60s people who also have institutional knowledge, but a different generational framework that they're coming from. You need all of that. You need the younger, the middle, and the older that can really come together to debate this, to pose the questions, to rewrite the Madison papers. I mean, it took them like 3-4 years to write all this stuff. They didn't write it in 6 months. They tested it. They debated it. They put it back and forth with each other in debates, and they really tried to pull apart. How does it break? How do we break it? Let's write a law so that it can't be broken. And we need to do that again, because the laws were broken. Almost all of them were broken. All the big ones were broken.
And there were a lot of things that a lot of people thought were law that was just a gentleman's agreement. Because back in the day, when you gave your word, it meant something. It meant you didn't cross that line.
That's right.
And if you did, you were ostracized for it, and you were called out on it. And I think a lot of people were shocked the last time around with Dumpy Pants, was that when he started breaking laws, and suddenly we're finding out, well, technically it's not a law. It's just something that everybody always agreed to. It'd be like, why the hell wasn't it made into a law?
Yeah, like that letter that the DOJ wrote that said, you can't charge or file charges against a sitting president. Why the hell not? If they're a criminal, charge that fucker.
If they break the law, then they need to be charged and tried and convicted, and
Yeah. I feel that there are so many things like that have to be looked at.
It's going to be very overwhelming, and a lot of my worry is that a lot of just regular, ordinary, everyday citizens are not going to understand on the level that they need to understand of what it's going to take to deal with this. And they're going to want to push and rush or F it up because they don't know how to be patient and wait. I think of when Obama got elected in '08 because he didn't wave his magic wand and make everything bad disappear in 10. They, he got cut off at the knees. And so it's
Clarence,
that.
excuse me, Sherry. I think Clarence, we're all just kind of assuming it's going to be Kamala. Let's just be real.
Yeah, and I'm going by what I've been told, and I'm going by the energy right at this moment. Can things change?
Lotus
Of course
POTUS.
they can change, but I've heard this now for over a year that it will be Kamala Harris. And not only that she will be the 47th president. And that's what my guides keep telling me. So that means taking out Trump and removing him of ever being the 47th president. Kamala Harris is the winner and will be the 47th president.
Yeah.
As of the energy right now.
All part of his decertification and her acclamation. Right? That's the word, right?
Yeah,
acclamation.
That's the word. Yeah.
And Norm wants to ask a very simple question. Will it take down senators and reps not really elected? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Norm. And this is what I am holding on to my confetti cannon and champagne for. I cannot wait to see Jimmy Jordan. I mean, Matt Gaetz is already gone. And what is that hopeless wretch that runs the committees that just, he's another Jim. I can't think of his name, but he is.
Comer. Is it Comer? Is that
yes.
James Comer. Yeah.
When he gets handcuffed and pulled out to jail, I am going to have to buy a whole new bottle of champagne just for that. That guy.
Oh, yeah.
I can't stand that guy.
I'm going to buy a damn case of champagne and drink myself silly.
Right.
I mean,
that, yeah. Yeah, I do think that. Now, they may be in in another round of roundups, there may, but then again, maybe if this is done militarily, maybe they just go in and do a whole sweep, but it depends on how they make these decisions. The thing about the not being elected part, now that may be a separate act because they want to present evidence and they want to have some kind of a panel really look at it closely and figure out, but that's when they're talking about the votes. And I do feel like the votes will be an important thing and the interference will be an important thing in taking him down, but it won't be the linchpin. It just won't. I think all of his damning behavior, I think the fact that he cheated will be it, but more things like the documents case and, all of that stuff.
It's just all going to accumulate just one thing on top of another, to where it's just this mountain of evidence.
Well, it already is. And if anybody's been paying attention, if anybody has a spreadsheet, they're probably just going, okay, we're up to line 5,000. And these are all the things that, like the emoluments, like him grifting off of the United States. That in itself is an impeachable offense. So why aren't they impeaching him for that? All of those things taken together, at some point, I feel like the military has to step in and say, we have to remove you, sir. That's, and then this coalition government steps in, pretty much ready to go because they're gonna be ready to go. Why do you think Pete Buttigieg put out that short yesterday? Why? Yeah. He's a part of it. He's definitely a part of it, right?
Oh, without a doubt.
Who is the other guy that
Tim Walz has suddenly made a reappearance on the world stage again in the last
Max Frost. Max Frost is really hitting a lot of independent shows on YouTube that I've been watching. He's all over the place. AOC, her voice all of a sudden dropped 5 notes and she got some gravitas. Those tours, that tour that she did with Bernie, my God, she just became this amazing speaker. She was a pretty damn good speaker already, but her voice was higher and she was
it was almost shrill.
Yeah, but she was a little bit her energy was a little bit, I can't describe it, but anyway, now she's got like a ramrod up her spine. She's really grounded. She's really there
for more power.
I think she's a part of it. I think this has given her confidence.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders,
Jasmine Crockett, I think, is another one.
I'm sure that Bernie Sanders is going to be a part of it. I'm sure that, well, I'm hoping that Beto O'Rourke will be a part of it. But I know Obama, probably Bush. Why do you even think that those two guys were all of it? You think that they just call each other on Sunday and say, "Hey, how's it hanging?" No, I think that some of this stuff that is already being set up has got them connected in some way. And lots of other folks that you could name that you've thought of fondly in the past on both sides of the aisle and independents. I mean, hell, we might see Mitt Romney come back for a little, a little cameo. Who knows?
That's true. I mean, there are a lot of people on both sides that were honest brokers of what they not only believed in, but in what they tried to do for their constituents, whether if it was just a district or if it was an entire state or the entire country. I mean, they truly took to heart the truth of being someone in that kind of power. As a public servant, you are there to serve the people, not be served.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that is the dividing line between them and what Dumpy and Party embody. Is they want to be served, and the others know that they are to be the servers.
Yeah.
They're to serve the people. It's all for our collective whole benefit, and not just our country. But that also reaches out globally. I mean, how much damage has been done globally?
Yeah.
That's going to take
just tons.
God knows how long to repair, Yeah.
Yeah. So I do think that there's going to be some real, just a team of all-stars politically put together in order to handle
it's going to have to be.
And their former staff, whatever. And God knows.
And I think they're going to all gladly step forward to do it.
Yeah. But there's also, think of all the people in the government that have just recently lost their jobs who would be more than happy to step up and start working against this government, this administration, so I think all those people.
Well, I think there is a lot of people working behind the scenes that we don't have a clue what's going on. But the ex-presidents, they have a lot more power than just because they're not president anymore. I mean, they have respect around the world and they know what they're talking about. And nobody, just keep in mind when you're thinking this can't possibly happen, just know that nobody that has been involved with the United States of America, the way the ex-presidents have, are going to allow somebody like Donald Trump to become an authoritarian ruler of our country. That is just not ever going to happen.
Yeah. I agree with that.
We've been on an hour and a half. And so I think we should, even though it's 4th of July, I thought we could go a little bit longer because hell, nobody's working.
That's it.
And it's just been a great group. They're just so enthusiastic.
There's been some great conversations going in here trying to keep
up. We have over this whole show over 500 people watching this show on a holiday. You guys could all be outside having a barbecue, and instead you're in watching us. I appreciate that so much.
Yeah,
and I'm sure Colleen and Sherry do as well.
Yeah, and thanks for all the super chats. It's just amazing, all those super chats. Thank you so much to everybody who did those. But I just want to leave everybody with a little quote. This is one of my favorite quotes. This is by a woman whose book I read, God, it's got to be almost 40 years ago. I read this. I don't even know if she's still living. Her name's Marianne Weinstein. And she wrote a book called Positive Magic. And it's a really good book. If you can find it, you should pick it up. It's got a lot of good things in it. But my favorite quote from her is, she's talking to light workers and she's talking to people who are maybe losing faith that what they're doing, sending light and being positive and everything, that maybe that's just not working. And she said, Just when you think nothing is happening in the visible world, everything is happening in the invisible world.
Cool.
Mhm.
Thanks, Jay. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So just remember that, guys. This is not in vain. What we are doing matters a lot. All right, take care, everybody. Happy whatever the hell the holiday is, day, whatever it is. I can't keep them straight. Too many holidays, and I will see you maybe. Do I have a show Sunday? I don't know. Do we have a show Sunday, Cleo?
Um,
Do we? Let me look. No, I don't have a.
we got one on Friday, but it's not PoliTarology.
No,
It's Cool Crone.
yeah, and we also have a reveal the future this week. Sherry, you joining me for that?
I'm going to be there for Wednesday. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
Val switched nights. She switched Wednesdays with me, so I'd be free.
All right, so look for the post on the reveal the future and join us for that. That's the group meditation. And in the meantime, hang in there, send a lot of love and light. Love to you all, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.